Okay, we got a question from Ronan. Ronan, excellent. I was reading through your latest Easy Strength book this Christmas. Hey, thank you. EasyStrengthOmnibook.com. I won't harp on too much, but I absolutely devoured it and have read it several times now. It's excellent. Thank you very much. He also notes waiting for the hard copy. It takes a while, and it is harder and harder to produce printed work. It just is. We're doing our best, of course, by the time you hear this, it might be done. I was reading over your easy hypertrophy discussion, in particular the bit about selecting exercises that don't stress the grip. So for those of you too cheap to buy my book, I have this idea. It's just an idea, just an insight, that exercises that seem to really help on hypertrophy tend to be a little easier on the grip. And I think it goes back to the way we're built. Homunculus man, look up homunculus man. You'll notice the hands and the feet and the eyes are massive. So I have this theory that when you have an exercise that really taxes your grip, it tends to it tends to be less of a hypertrophy exercise. Back squats are wonderful for hypertrophy, but really all you're doing, especially if you're doing high rep squats, which I recommend, and anybody else who's ever had success doing, with back squats or mass, you barely even hold on. Another exercise, and this comes from my friend Brian, for hypertrophy is the handstand pull-ups. I'm like, handstand press-ups. And then I thought about it, and again, even though your hand's on the ground, you're not gripping. And then I thought about why dips, if you can do dips, why they seem to be so good for hypertrophy is that you're holding onto a bar, but it's fair to the stands, but it's a very relaxed grip versus say a pull or a pull-up or a deadlift. Interesting stuff. I would like to throw in the suggestion here for a pulling exercise that does not use the hands, pullovers. If you ever read John McCallum's The Complete Keys to Progress, of course I have, or Kelso's Powerlifting Basics Texas Style, one of my favorite parts of the book is his cheerleader program, because basically that's just easy strength. All bulking routines include this exercise. They were my favorite part of super squats because I got to lie down after 20 minutes. Ronan, this is a good point. The reason people used to do pullovers was this idea, and I still don't know if it's true or false, but there was this idea that you wanted to expand your rib cage. Bob Hoffman was a real believer. He was the guy who basically, I can't remember if he started York itself or bought it and kept the name, but close enough. So basically, York Barbell, Strength and Health Magazine, Muscular Development Magazine. He wrote a lot of books. Some they look like he just wrote them very quickly. But one of the things he believed in, it was that you wanted to expand your rib cage so that you look bigger. And the big rib cage, you'll notice a lot of the guys back in the 50s when they would always do this big rib cage push. It's not as big anymore. I haven't heard expanding a rib cage in years. But the pullover exercise, you're laying on the bench and your arms go free here. I know javelin throwers love it. There is a need for some mobility to do it. You better have good shoulders. And I think there is value to that. In the Easy Strength Omnibook, EasyStrengthOmnibook.com, I do discuss this kind of concept called easy hypertrophy. And I even come up with a few simple programs. I mean, if you want an absolutely minimalist program and your sternum can handle it, a lot of people get sternum issues when they do dips. Maybe not you, but a lot of people do, mostly teenagers. But if you just did, dips and high rep back squats, it's not perfect, but it's not bad. If you took them really seriously, do my Mass Made Simple program and just drop everything else and just keep the high rep squats image and just do, dips. you'd probably be okay, and you'd probably have some interesting recoveries. It's, I think, 2 or 3 chapters in the book. I think, Ronan, this is one of those strange things where, you write a book and all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, what was that all about? But yeah, I like I like this question, and I hope that if you do try something like this, kind of an easy hypertrophy approach, I think if you added the pullovers after the squats, that's a classic idea. Whether it does what it said it did, I don't know. It's one of those things where I've read a lot of books. I don't have my Bob Hoffman books anymore. I donated those to a library. But he's real. Oh, there's one right there, except for that one. But that was a real big thing. But that was the generation of lifters just before me. One of the things I think, and this is just a small little point, sometimes, so I'm 65 as I'm reading this today. I started lifting weights when I was 8, I guess, 1965. So, and then I started reading magazines and stuff, and bodybuilding books and weightlifting books, probably not long after that, 67, after that. So already, like for example, when I first started reading Strength and Health, there was already these big controversies over, well, obviously amphetamines and anabolics, but also too whether or not they should keep the military press. They did not. This rising sport called powerlifting, and the big chest, the pullover era was kind of not. It was kind of dying out or done by the time I came up. Interesting. Just before I showed up on the scene, people were still doing dumbbell swings and snatches a lot for conditioning, and that kind of ended probably when I first started touching weights, probably 62 to 65. A lot of these great exercises just disappear. And if you really want to make a name for yourself, just go get a bunch of old bodybuilding magazines and flip through them and just steal what they did that's been lost, and start your own company and sell pieces of equipment that didn't do anything for you back then and probably won't anymore. I'm going to start my own vibration belt company. Remember those old things you see in movies sometimes that they jiggle the fat out of you, because I have a cert for that, the fat jiggling cert. We'll go for 3 days and just stand there getting jiggled for 3 days. I'm sorry. Good question. Thank you.